Well, hello and welcome to the Friday night update stream. I'm here with Gao. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Last week of vacation, so next week I will be back on my PC. But for
Okay,
now, I'm still enjoying the nice weather here.
good. Um, well, at least somebody's doing well. Unfortunately, I've not been so well this week. Um, I've managed to avoid it for since the start, and I came down with COVID last week. So I am recovering from that and looking forward to doing this update. So, shall we jump right into it?
Sure, by all means.
We are looking at week 45 update, new husbandry tree and fixes for mounts. A new husbandry tree fixes and balances for mounts and upcoming big features included in this week. So, looking forward to that. Hi, Froggy. It's good to have you here. Maybe you could give me a sound check, if you will, please. Seeing as Gao can't because he doesn't have a computer handy, and I'm streaming it,
Yep.
so it kind of makes it difficult for me to chat test it. So, if you could let me
Yeah.
know how that sounds, I would be much appreciative of that. Um, would you be so good as to take us through the first section, please, whilst I wet my throat and have a coughing fit?
Sure. So, this week's update, week 45's update, focuses on new features and fixes for our mount systems that were introduced in week 42. The new husbandry tree will allow you to invest into your mount prowess in either taming, racing, or riding. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Racing. Anyway, we have also included a bunch of rebalances, tweaks, and improvements to the system, addressing interaction issues with beds and troughs and overall general behavior. We've also included information on 3 upcoming features and systems: Read into the Future of Mounts, Open World Mode, and Narrative Mission Chains. Sounds interesting. The narrative mission chains is gonna be an interesting new mode, I think. And do the first mission to unlock the next mission to unlock the next one. Basically, a sort of storyline. As for the husbandry tree, this new husbandry tree provides players with a way to become an expert in a mount system, allowing you to either specialize into being the tamer, the racer, or the rider to support a team, or have a more jack of all trades approach. The left side of the tree focuses on the taming phase of the cycle, with talents focused on temperature tolerance, taming speed, and providing juveniles immunity from attacking predators. The middle of the tree provides talents focused on raising their mounts and providing them baseline improvements. Talents in this branch focus on gathering, food and water consumption, mount health, and the amount predators will perceive them as a threat. Really? A juvenile perceives as a threat? Okay.
Hmm.
The right side of the tree provides talents that are centered on utilizing your mount for riding or as a pack animal. These feature stamina bonuses, reduce player oxygen, food, and water requirements, carry weight, and movement speed.
Hmm. Well, there's quite a lot to talk about there, isn't there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't check it out for myself. Not until halfway next week.
Yeah.
Uh, so, left side of the tree focuses on taming phase of the cycle, temperature tolerance, I reckon most important in either a desert or Arctic biome.
Yeah, yeah.
Meaning
So
speed.
maybe you can have specialized Arctic mounts and specialized desert mounts.
I don't know. Or maybe it's like the person with this talent, if he starts taming an animal, that juvenile doesn't suffer as much from temperature differences as other players.
Possible. Hi, Jason. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing today? Yeah, the middle of the tree provides talents focused on mounts and providing them baseline improvements. I would assume, such as stamina and health, maybe like we have.
Health, yes. Stamina, no. That's the right side. The middle is
Oh, right.
focus on
Okay. Yeah.
gathering. Not sure how gathering comes into a field when we're talking about taming juveniles, but okay.
Mm,
The food and water consumption, though, so if it works the way I think it's working, if you have talents in this particular area, the juveniles don't need to eat and drink that much.
hmm. Possible.
And I wonder, will these like bonuses then stay on the mount? If so, that means someone who has talents in the middle of this tree here, who has points there, if that person tames a mount, that mount after taming also keeps consuming less food and water, which is going to be interesting because the whole food and water consumption is still kind of an issue with the with the mounts, the tamed mounts.
Yeah, but there was also um, stuff in
And also,
last week's update that was to sort out the fact that the mounts wouldn't eat properly.
yeah, actually, they fix some more in this year update for that. If the troughs are of the Navmesh, mount still didn't want to eat or drink from those troughs, is being mentioned further on in this patch notes.
Okay. Good, 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 good.
Now, if
Okay.
I've quickly read through the updates notes already, and I believe these boosts do stay, if I read it correctly, do stay with the tamed mounts. So then also the perceived threat for the mounts might be interesting, but this needs thorough testing. Uh, I reckon a lot of people will start testing this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would have tested it, except I don't have any mounts in my outpost. And unfortunately, I've had no energy to do anything at all except focus on trying to get better. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much, unfortunately, all I've done. Haven't been able to get my video editor to work yet. I'm still doing some tweaks, trying to have a look at some settings and stuff. I'm just going to jump
well,
to
one
the
time back home. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to jump over to the chat and say, personally, I like that they are working on adding things to the game, but this adding of new talents when we don't get enough points as it is just makes this useless. I definitely won't waste any points on this. And then he says, I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, they were talking about mounts persisting between missions. If mounts indeed will persist between missions, this is going to be more interesting to respec talents and try and get some talents into this husbandry tree. If they do not persist between missions, then yes, I agree. Not sure I am gonna respec to put talent points in here. Having said that, I have not been able to check is this indeed a new talents needing talent points from the same pool as all the other talents. I haven't checked it. I haven't been able to.
Yeah, and I haven't checked it either, unfortunately. So apologies for that. We will catch up as soon as you're back home, I suppose. We don't have
Oh
any.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any Carl tonight, so he is also away on holiday.
Yep.
um,
Yeah. Apparently, I planned my holiday not as good as I thought I did. Oh well.
well, I'm
So
just
be it.
glad you're enjoying it, and I appreciate the fact that you join us for the update. It's much appreciated. Okay,
Of course.
so key mount fixes and new mechanics. I'm gonna choose this because it's kind of short and sweet. Um, We've gathered a large amount of feedback on our mounts since launch. This week, we're incorporating some fixes, rebalances, and features to address some issues and areas for improvement. We have increased the default carry capacity of the Buffalo mount and added extra capacity to the pack harness. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, like I said last week already, the Buffalo being able to only carry 100 kilos, the same as the Moa,
Yeah,
less
it
than a player which has been specking a bit into carrying. That's, yeah, it made the Buffalo mounts kind of useless. So
yeah,
I'm glad they addressed this.
yeah, yeah. Jason says it's the same pool. They added a new section to the talent menu. A
Mm.
car or bike would be better than a live mount, and you have to tame it every time you surface or mount you land with. Um,
So the mounts don't proper persist yet? Well, maybe
um,
in the future. They did say they were working on it. They did not say they have done it. They have implemented it. They
yeah,
said they were going to work on it.
yeah, yeah. Froggy suggests that the tame you get should be shuttled with you. So you take
Good
the
luck
tape.
taking a buffalo with you in a drop pod.
Yeah, I reckon that would be a bit of a tight squeeze.
Yep.
Just a little bit. Not much room for exotics in there after that.
Yeah.
Okay. We added a new ability to manually feed and give water to mounts from items in your quick bar. Hand feeding mounts will give them a short burst of health regeneration.
This is big.
Yeah,
So if the mount, you have a mount with you on a trip and it doesn't want to eat from the trough, at least you now can manually feed it. Yay. And manually give it water as well. Yay.
yeah, that should help.
Oh yeah.
Um, they have improved the mount juvenile ability to navigate towards troughs and beds. Okay, so they gave him some new waypoints. Fair enough.
Yeah, updated enough mesh. Good.
Yeah. Mounts no longer starve to death when at a distance from the player. Oh, that's
I
good
have
to
not
know.
noticed this yet.
Well,
I had not noticed yet that if you are away from your base, that then the mounts starve to death. I thought they were just eating from the troughs.
well,
Oh well.
it would certainly explain a lot when we decided to tame those mounts in your outpost, and all of them died because they wouldn't eat from the trough.
True, true. I thought it
So,
was enough issue, but apparently it was they refuse to eat if you're not near. Glad they fixed that.
yeah, Yeah, that would be good. Um, Froggy says, "Well, you could put the buffalo into a cryopod like an ark." And Jason says you just tie him up outside the ship.
Uh, yeah, but then you will be landing with a roasted buffalo. I mean, it's a good source of meat to start your mission with. But
Yeah, well, I mean, at least you start the mission with prime meat. I mean, it doesn't really get any better than that, does
true,
it?
true.
Alrighty, and finally, mounts and juveniles now take item nutrition value into account when eating, meaning they will consume lower quantities of high nutrition items such as watermelon, but will consume higher quantities of low nutrition items such as berries.
Well, I do hope they will also give us a way to see the nutrition value of certain food types.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just basically means that if you have a half a dozen watermelons, it's gonna consume them slower than a couple of stacks of berries, I would assume.
True, but the only thing we know now is the nutrition values of watermelons are higher than those of berries. What about pumpkins, carrots? What's their nutrition value? Are they more, less than berries, more or less than watermelon? I don't
And
know.
do they give more nutrition after they're cooked like they do for us or not?
I believe the mounts only eat raw food. I I could be mistaken though.
Okay, Jason's asking whether or not we can feed them meat pie. We turn them into cannibals.
uh, I don't
Uh,
know.
ve- ve-
Buffaloes definitely. More I do not know about.
well, I was actually thinking about veggie pie, fruit pie.
Yeah, but you need so much veggies for those pies. You might be better off just giving them the raw food.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah,
Anyway,
stick a handful of wheat in its pocket and tell it to fuck off. Go and eat.
yeah,
Okay. Future mount features, if you please.
sure. Our first iteration of the mounts have been a success, and we have been encouraged by the positive feedback and constructive criticism we have received from the community. We have a lot of plans for this new system to come in the future, and wanted to talk about a couple of these. The husbandry tree releasing today is one of those features. And as we move forwards towards multi-mission persistence in the future, see, persistence of the mounts,
Hmm.
we aim to expand these opportunities for player choice with the addition of mount leveling and talents. We have also been experimenting with mounts being able to pull different items and machines across different terrains that offer various uses, along with different types of saddles and attachments. A cart
Ooh,
for the forest and the desert, a sled for the Arctic.
I, I,
Oh,
I was thinking of, I don't know, maybe it could pull cannon.
uh, yeah, but we don't have no cannons in the game yet.
Mm. Well, it says items and machines.
Yeah, but I rather put a workbench in the saddle of a buffalo than have it drag a workbench around.
Well, yeah, but you can probably put them in the cart.
True, so cars, especially in the desert, which is nice and open, a
Yeah,
sled in the Arctic, gonna be
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Jason says the moa tend to go towards dead carcass and drying racks. And then he suggested a wolf pulled sled for moving.
Yeah, Arctic wolves, not
Yeah.
bad.
I don't know whether or not you could tame a polar bear to pull stuff.
It kind of ties into the next part here. We're also looking at other animals that can be raised into mounts, particularly in the next DLC expansion. Particularly, but not exclusively.
Yeah.
We wanted to give special mention to the Icarus modding community, who quickly incorporated bears as an available mount in the download.
Right. Okay.
While we don't have current plans to make bears an available mount, we enjoyed watching some of the gameplay and wanted to compliment you on your work. So yeah, there you go, your polar bears.
Yeah.
And maybe your wolf.
That would be good. Could you imagine taming an alpha wolf to pull a cart?
Yeah, and have the pack defend it.
Yeah, that would be quite cool, actually.
How about a mammoth? I wonder if you can tame a mammoth, how much that one is going to be able to carry.
Would would
Mammoth and elephant.
wouldn't it be cool if you could actually build your house on top of the mammoth? Then you've got a mobile home.
Yeah, we're straying into our territory again, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like mobile base.
Yeah.
Well,
Alrighty.
there is the talent for no, not for weather resistance, but maybe they will get a talent for weather resistance if you're riding a particular mount. So more cold resistance when riding a mammoth.
Yeah, that would make sense.
A couple of interesting prospects here.
Mm-hmm. I reckon so. Okay, the future. 3 distinct game modes. I'm just going to pull that down a little bit. Last week, we introduced our plans for our open world mode, our next large feature to be introduced in the future. Our goal with this feature is to clearly define 3 different ways to enjoy Icarus, be it more traditional survival, our iconic instanced missions, or a more sandbox-esque peaceful building environment. Could you take us through those, please?
Sure. So we kick off with the open world mode. The open world mode provides the traditional survival experience, where you can access the entire map and choose your drop zones in a persistent, dangerous environment with respawning world bosses, weather impacts, and no experience reduction. Uh, so outposts bit better than outpost for since you don't have no reduced experience. However, it does not say anything about respawning resources. So if you're playing an open world and the resources do not respawn, at some point you will have harvested all available resources on the map, and it's going to be one barren wasteland.
Yeah, and
And then
no
you're
way, and
basically
no,
done with the open world.
yeah, no way to kill anything.
Yeah. So the next game mode, Outposts. Outpost will provide a sandbox experience, allowing to create and build in a controlled environment, where your creativity and ambition are able to run wild. This is designed to be a self-contained experience, giving you the space to innovate without consequence. So basically outposts like we have them now.
Yeah,
Reduced experience gain, but respawning resources.
yeah,
And then there is the missions. Our instanced missions are the bread and butter of Icarus, with self-contained stories and missions that play out over portions of the map and develop the narrative and future of this universe. We have no plans to stop developing and evolving them, as they are integral to Icarus. and will always be the center of our development. Oh, I'm glad they are not gonna get rid of the missions.
Yeah.
So open world mode and outpost will both receive updates and improvements going forward with their own identities, allowing both to evolve into their own designated features. Open world mode has more unannounced features to come and will launch with both Olympus and Styx as playable areas. As a result, however, and I got a little bit sad when I read this, the Olympus outpost will be removed, but the smaller maps will stay and evolve with unique features in the future. So my Olympus outpost, which I've been spending quite a few hours in already, I mean you've seen my base,
Yeah.
it's gonna appear, oh well.
Yeah,
So
and I'm gonna lose the upside down pyramid.
was that on? No, that was not an Olympus outpost. That was one of the smaller outposts, and those will stay. It's just the newest outpost, the entire Olympus map. That one will disappear. Will be replaced with open world mode.
Mm,
However, the upside is, in the long run, we are aiming to include the ability to trigger missions from your open world mode bases. But this will not be available in this first pass. Releasing this version is just the first step in our journey towards this goal. So yeah, the current Olympus outpost will disappear. It will become open world mode. I'm still not sure about the whole resources there,
yeah,
but you
that's a bit
can trigger.
hazy.
If you can trigger missions from the open world mode and also start them from your open world mode, at least you will start those missions with a full base already. Again, is a bit like duality here. I partially like it, partially don't like it, because you'll miss the first part of the whole base building part of each mission.
Yeah, yeah. But it also means that you can reduce the amount of time spent in using the resources to build the base, depending on what you need it for.
True, but if to say just to say something extreme, if you get a mission like kill 100 deer, right?
Yeah,
Normally you go in, you build your base, you build a longbow. Now, if you can trigger that mission from open world, you go in, you go to your base, you grab a gun and 100 bullets. Within 10 minutes, you've killed 100 deer, and the mission is over.
yeah, yeah.
So, like I said, I'm not sure how much I'm gonna like it. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept, but I'm not entirely sure how they see that playing out.
Yeah, people who say the game is too grindy and too repetitive, having to build your base each and every mission. For those people, triggering the mission from open world, if it's indeed going to work that way, obviously, and starting your mission with a fully equipped base will be good, right? You don't
Yeah,
have the repetitive parts where you have to build your base every single mission. However, building a base doesn't take that much, like an hour and a half tops, and I still find it fun building the base each time.
yeah, yeah. It's become part of the routine.
Exactly.
When we drop down, we know exactly who's going to be picking up what's because we do it so often. It's,
Mm,
yeah, it's just become part of the gameplay.
yeah, and The one mission you go for, I don't know, for the machining bench first, because you don't have that much storms. Other missions where the storms are more severe, you go for a stone base first. This decision making, which is still part of the whole rebuilding your base each mission, it makes it kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly does. I'm just going to jump to the chat for a second, so
Yeah,
let's catch up. Jason says, "What? So we'll go back to the tiny outpost we had in the beginning?
that is correct.
That's how it's going to be, I'm afraid. Yeah." And Froggy says you can always change your base look in a new mission.
True. We usually go for the same layout, but there are people who especially like the whole base building part. And yes, they make a new unique base every mission.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's something you're going to lose in this open world, I'm afraid.
yeah. I
And
I do have to
yes,
say the last couple of missions that we've had to, like, I don't know, for example, just make a cave base just because the mission is particularly short and we don't need everything. So we don't need the usual base. When we don't have the usual base, I can't find anything. I have no idea where we put the campfires. I don't know where the textiles bench is. It takes me forever to find out where I'm supposed to put stuff.
yeah. Yes, Jason, we will have to go back to the small outposts only, but you will get the open world mode in return.
Yeah,
Open world mode is basically gonna replace the Olympus outpost.
yeah. So then we're going to end up with kind of, I don't know, maybe like side missions.
I don't know. I don't know. And for the open world mode, uh, I know I'm a bit repetitive, but resources, I do hope they're gonna respawn there. Otherwise, yeah, you will run out.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not going to take you 30 days to run out. Um, okay.
Oh no. Within 30 days, you'll have mined every single resource on the map.
Yeah, yeah. Jason now chips in and says, "Don't you love a finished game?"
Uh, well, let's call it a game in development, Jason.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, I mean, what else would you want? Like a static game without any new additions, like static, no changes anymore? I for one, I like the addition of new things.
yeah. It changes
In
it up.
general, in general, it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And as we say all the time, new things then force you to adapt, and
Yeah,
adaptation is the difference between surviving and not surviving. And sometimes even when we do adapt, we still don't survive very long. But
exactly.
you've
And
you've seen our games. You know how long we usually last when we're on top of the game. But there are still things that catch us
exactly.
out.
Anyway, let's continue with the narrative chain missions.
Yes, please.
We have been working on a few narrative missions which will form a chain to incorporate a new story from beginning to end with new characters and objectives. This allows us to form a more campaign feel around a central story that spans multiple drops, and we hope they will immerse our players deeper into the lore of Icarus. I know for Carl, for example, has been wanting this for a long time already.
Yes, yes. I do.
Like
I do feel that the
actually
game could.
missions, a bit of a campaign.
Yes, yes. Where what you do in one mission may very well affect how you do the second part. Um,
Also,
like the
you
with
have to do
the
the
new
mission
mission,
order.
like yeah, like with the new missions and sticks and stuff, where we'd been used to getting all the mission stuff pretty much early on, and then you just go and complete it, and as soon as you're done, you're off skis to start the new one. Um, Whereas maybe you can't you cannot complete the mission because you have part 2 and 3 to go, and
Yeah,
it would be interesting to see if there's any different lore coming into this.
yeah.
Um, because I was only able to make 4 issues of 4 videos around the lore of Icarus, and there hasn't been any more lore since. And it's all very
Well,
well giving us this game, but I really want to know more behind the missions. Like the
well,
the
the
second video that they released kind of suggested some funny business going on, and we haven't, I mean, there's so much that they can do with the lore.
well, there is good news for you
I hope
because
so.
these missions should also start providing more detail and insight into the various factions, characters, history, and stories that surround the failed terraforming project, and give players more engagement with the different elements of the universe. So yeah, it's definitely going to be more lore.
Cool. that's going to be that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. And
Yeah,
Jason says narrative missions sounds awesome. It does, actually. um
yeah. And like in Olympus, there weren't really like unlocks in missions, except a few where you like unlock the cave bow or unlock
Scorpion armor.
the exotics, some armor. But you could play the other missions without having done those first. In
Yeah,
Styx, some missions unlocked some shortcuts. If you haven't completed those missions, you don't have the shortcuts, but you still can reach the entirety of the map.
yeah,
Now finally we get a campaign-esque form. I like that.
yeah, yeah. I actually missed one of Jason's comments. He said, in between "Don't you love a finished game" and "the narrative missions sound awesome," he actually wrote, "I love the new stuff, as I said, but this is early access."
Uh, Opinions differ a bit here, but you're definitely not alone when you say this is early access. This game, a lot of people think that way.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
But,
but I,
uh,
I, I have been part of, just as an example, I saw the game Destiny evolve from what it started out to be, which was basically, I don't know, there was a lot of Halo references in there, especially when it came down to the armor and stuff. But I saw that game evolve through to Destiny 2. Um, and the one thing that stopped me from playing it was the microtransactions. And I'm really, really hoping that this game doesn't go that way, because it's such a good game.
oh yeah,
And I'm really looking forward to these mission based, the story
the
based
chain,
missions that
mission.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean a lot of games keep on adding content.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, a game adding content does not mean it's early access.
No, I mean,
Sure, this game doesn't exist that long yet, about a year or so.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, they're still adding new stuff, but a lot of games do that.
yeah.
Although,
That's
uh,
how they
although
evolve. That's how they keep players. That's how they get different players. That's how they get new players. That's how they get themselves out there. You know,
Yeah.
I think with the exception of Pac-Man, you ain't really gonna, unless you're writing a computer program for an Atari, you're not gonna have a finished game anymore because games that are released are constantly evolving.
Yeah, and being updated, content added, and so yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that you and I actually had early access to this game in the beta weekends, uh,
Yep, we sure did.
and the game is already way different to what we experienced in the beta weekends.
Oh, yes, definitely. Anyway,
Let's
let's continue
continue.
to the game vlog, shall we?
Yes, please.
So, new content, added framework for the husbandry talent tree, renamed the construction talent group to habitation. I assume this is part of the husbandry part.
Yeah.
Let's see, they added base class for spike traps, cleaned up logic for hedgehogs. Basic wood hedgehog will now damage players. Hedgehogs deal 50% damage to players. Didn't they already damage players?
Yes, they did, but it wasn't 50%.
Ah. Well, I assume 50% is 50. They deal twice the amount of damage to animals than they do to players. Not 50% of the player's health. That would be a bit much.
Well, yeah, that's very true. Um, but I mean, hedgehogs can only take a couple of hits anyway, so
True. Anyway, some more husbandry tree stuff. Well, we already talked about the whole husbandry trees, so talents.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Um, Setting up
so,
modifiers on for new taming auras.
so I assume modifiers taking into account the talents, the husbandry talents.
Yeah, that would make
I
sense.
assume aim for the crafting cost reduction for saddles and taming equipment.
Yeah,
Otherwise, that would have we reduced the cost, not set up crafting cost reduction.
yeah. Okay.
Here, new tamed creatures modifiers table for determining the stats transfer between player and tamed creature juvenile. Ergo, looks like the stats of the player who tames a mount, if he has stats in the husbandry tree, those stats will be transferred to the mounts.
That
So if a player which has talents in more carry weight tames a mount, that mount will then be able to carry more than if another player would tame the same mount. So I like that.
possible. That sounds plausible. Yeah, yeah,
Especially if you start playing with bigger groups of players.
yeah,
I'm thinking about dedicated servers, because they will be better equipped to handle the load. If you have a bigger team of players and one or two players have stats in husbandry tree,
mm-hmm,
that would become quite interesting at that point.
yeah,
So, adding to that, I do hope we will be able to start creating more players. Because if we could create more players, I could create one which specializes in timing. And then based on the group, based on the needs of the group, I could then decide to use that player instead of a mining player.
yeah, yeah. Okay. That's an interesting one. Players will now be kicked out of the mount inventory screen if player or mount distance becomes too large. Mounts now use generic ragdoll behavior shared with other NPCs. That would
So it's a
make
good thing
sense.
they will be kicked out of the inventory screen. Otherwise, you could abuse that to instantly transfer tons of materials over huge distances.
Yeah,
So, for example, I'm in a cave and I've mined a gazillion tons of ore. Uh, then I open the inventory screen of a buffalo. You lead the buffalo back to base, whilst I keep that inventory screen open. You're back at base with the buffalo. I can then transfer the ores to the buffalo magically over a huge distance towards the base, and in base you could take it out straight away.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm glad I fixed that.
yeah, yeah, that's a good one.
Uh,
Cool. Okay.
oh, by the way, do you remember I was talking about exposure resistance
Yeah,
while riding a creature? A couple of bullet points above. Hooking up player states related to riding creatures. Oxygen, food, water consumptions, and exposure resistance.
yeah,
So yeah, it might modify your exposure resistance depending on the mount you're riding.
that would make sense.
Hmm,
Hmm.
could be interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Uh,
let's see. Oh, enables juveniles to be counted towards baby animal kills and their respective parent creature type kills. Kind of makes sense, you know? So you
yeah,
need to kill X amount of babies. There is actually an accolade for this. Up until now, you had to kill the baby deer. Now
yeah.
you can also kill juvenile moa and juvenile buffalo for this accolade.
Okay, well, that would make
Don't ask
sense.
me whether or not you should be proud if you received that accolade, but hey,
Well, somebody out there's going to have it.
of course. I mean, I want to gather all the accolades, so yeah, it does mean that I'll have to kill baby animals.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Uh, yeah. Player mounts and juveniles will now have player owner driven stats applied to them when claimed or when led by a new player in the case of juveniles. In the case of session reload, mounts and juveniles will wait for their most recent owning player to reconnect before reapplying relevant stats. Implemented following stats for use with husbandry talent tree, juvenile friendly to predators, tame sheep requirement is juvenile is mounted.
So in case of session reloads, mounts and juveniles will wait for the most recent owning player to reconnect before reapplying relevant stats. So if I would tame in a mission, I would tame a mount and having the talent for extra weight carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we stop playing for the night. The next day, you decide to continue. I can't, so you're playing your own. The mounts will not have those extra carry capacity stats.
Sounds like it.
Not sure about that. Not sure I'm gonna like that.
Hmm.
Oh well, something we'll have to test out at some point.
Yep. Okay.
And here, the one we discussed before already added the ability to feed and give water to mounts from currently equipped hotbar item.
Yep.
I'm glad they implemented that. So now if you're out mining and your buffalo is starting to get hungry, you can actually hand feed it. You don't have to carry a trough with you anymore.
Yeah.
The same with if it gets thirsty, you can have it to drink from your canteen.
Yeah.
You don't have to put a trough down and then having to wait for some rain to actually fill the trough or
Yeah,
place the
that
trough near
sounds.
the water source to autofill. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yep. Okay. So we've moved on to the fixed list then.
Yeah.
Okay. The fixed closed windows and doors sounding open after respawn. There's a potential issue with initialization order, so try to set the open FMOD parameter again if it fails as the first time. If it fails first time on begin play. Yeah, now we know why I don't read this stuff out.
Yeah. So apparently, something I haven't noticed before, but apparently, if you relog and your door is closed and there's a storm going outside, it inside it had the same sound as if the door was open or the
Oh,
window.
okay.
Glad they fixed it. I mean, it's more, it's not really like game altering fix, but it wasn't a game altering bug either. It's just more like audio bug.
Yeah.
But still, they fix it like that.
Okay, so
Optimization pass on buildable textures. Consistency pass on the texture settings and reducing 4K textures to save memory. More memory reduction. Like that.
yeah. Optimize some assets with high triangle counts to improve performance. We like improved performance.
Yeah, makes sense. If the asset is composed of less triangles, you have to calculate less triangles. So yeah, you need less resources to do so.
Yep.
Good. Remove sequence reference from cave diorama causing unnecessary asset loads, wasting memory. Again, memory improvements.
Yep. And the one underneath it as well is also for saving memory. Numerous texture optimizations and settings consistency pass to save memory.
Yeah. Yeah, people with rigs with low amount of memory, say 16 gigs, they're definitely gonna notice this. I
Yeah.
reckon.
Yeah.
They fixed the LOD settings on that prospector meshes. LOD 3 was 5K triangles. Should have 6 LODs with the final being less than 1K triangles. Wow. It's like an 80% reduction of triangles.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yep. Good. More performance improvement. Or let's rephrase it. Less resources used.
Yeah.
Delete unused tree meshes which have bad LODs and no materials. Ah, good. You don't have to load them in anymore.
Yep.
Optimized and or deleted unused assets in the VFX theory folder to improve performance. Good. So not only less resources used, but also performance improvements. Good, good. Add LODs to assets missing them or needing settings improved. And deleted unused assets. Again, less resources used, better.
Better performance. Yep.
Fixed inaccurate collisions on the Scorpion Hedgehog mesh, causing hits to fail often. Yeah, we don't really use them that much, actually.
No, the last time we used any hedgehogs of any description was when we did the geezer.
No, we didn't do scorpion hedgehogs. We just had
No,
the normal wooden hedgehogs.
yeah, but that just shows you how often we don't use them.
Yeah. I mean, I've been using them a bit for fun in desert. Place them in the path of an elephant just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Added a new option to the graphics menu. Limit pool size to VRAM, which may help alleviate blurry textures on GPUs with not enough memory. Note, this option is enabled by default and should only be disabled if you are having texture issues. Disabling this may cause issues or crashes. Reading through the Discord, there are a lot of people who are changing their pool sizes in an attempt to improve their graphics. However, what a lot of people don't understand, if you set your pool size too big, it does not fit within your VRAM. So basically, you're gonna run out of VRAM, and then yeah, you have to fall back to your normal RAM, which is not directly connected to the GPU, so it is slower. So they say, I increased my pool size for better graphics. Yeah, but now it's using slower memory. So you're actually you're not no longer improving your graphics, but it's getting worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they made it a default, by default enabled setting that the pool size cannot exceed the VRAM size, which
Yeah.
might help people who are having these issues.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
So, remove some of the many old variations of the work in progress HAB levels to allow easier cleanup of old, otherwise unused assets. Deep chained asset references result in expensive assets being shipped unnecessarily, causing larger builds, bigger load times, and more memory consumption. So they removed a few of those. Good.
Okay.
Less memory consumption again.
Yep. Removed prospect 007 entry from terrains DT to fix validation error. Didn't know James Bond was anywhere near Icarus, but there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, life is still only wildlife.
Yeah.
Removed old levels, which cause a ton of unnecessary references and made the cleanup of old assets impossible. So they got rid of the old levels, and now they can also start cleaning up old assets. Good.
Good. We like that.
Yep.
Okay, I'm definitely not going to read that next one. That's just too much of a mouthful for me.
Too many TLAs, eh?
Oh, yeah.
So prevent graphic settings from being applied before the graphic subsystem is ready. Reset the resolution scale when entering or exiting DLSS FSR. Ensure the r.screen percentage C variable calls are made with ECVF set by scalability priority, so that the legacy screen percentage driver can make changes. Basically, this means that resolution scaling works correctly when DLSS FSR are switched off, and multiple combinations of settings are applied. Actually, they were talking about a similar thing last week as well, where they improved the resolution scaling. If you play in a windowed game instead of full screen, or if you're playing on a non-native resolution, so if you have, for example, a 4K screen and you
Mm-hmm.
play the game in a 2K resolution, it's always scaling everything.
Yeah.
Like it has to scale down by 50 or even 75%.
Yeah.
And it didn't always work, resulting in, like I said last week, the cursor not being where it's be displayed. So you have to click above or below the box you wanted to click.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they improved more on this resolution scaling, which is good.
Good. Good. Good. Okay. Move marker for this quest to be a new serialization system. Map search area versus location search area. Reload the mission several times to ensure the marker now always shows up. This means that the map marker should always appear after reload on the station to station mission.
Ah, that mission, station to station.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this one, but I have seen complaints before or if people logged off, logged back in, some of those mission markers disappeared. They didn't
Yes.
come. So they fixed that. Good.
Good. Okie dokie.
Talking
Accolade.
about accolades, the accolades Ravenous only tracks food consumed when consuming stack. They wired the player tracker to consume food of stack size 1. Right click consume. Different code path from right click consume stack. This means players are awarded progress towards consumption accolades when consuming single food items as well as stacks of food items. I didn't know there was an accolade for eating.
No, neither did
Carl is gonna
I.
be Carl should have it already.
Oh, don't make me laugh. You make me cough.
Sorry about
Oh, excuse me. You'll have to forgive. Recovering from COVID, so not best placed for talking a lot right now. Okay,
that.
let's
Yeah.
carry
Do
on.
some more cooking.
Yeah, Strange Harvest, fixed typo in quest description. Can't say as I've reread it, so I wouldn't know. And Homestead, updated rustic statue objective to rustic Icarus statue to better guide players to the correct statue to craft.
Well, when
Okay,
this mission came out, we only had one statue, so at that point there was no confusion. However, over time they have added more statues to the rustic bench,
yeah,
so I can see how people got confused, like which statue do we need to make? They added they added the word Icarus, so the rustic Icarus statue.
yeah,
So players who now do this mission don't get confused, like which of the whole list of statues do we need to craft, which is good.
yeah. Well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Or you just do what we did and make everything in it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, when we did this mission, there was only one statue.
Yeah. Okay. Added
Anyway,
added sandworm boss to all Olympics exploration missions. Minimum one, maximum of four.
okay, so be warned, all the Olympus missions, the all Olympus exploration missions, now have between 1 and 4 sandworm bosses.
Yep.
So you don't have to be startled when you walk through the desert and all of a sudden a boss pops up right in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think we're gonna forget that one in a hurry.
No, we will not.
No. Yeah, we ran away like a bitch in a hurry, but we're not going to
Oh
forget it
yeah,
in a hurry.
man, it
I
was completely unexpected.
focused on something completely different, and up pops this worm, and you're like, "Oh shit, just run, just run."
Yeah, man, we just landed. We ran like 10, 15 meters, and all of a sudden a sandworm pops up. What a
Yeah,
peep!
I didn't even have any arrows made, and
Um,
he's spitting stuff at us.
yeah, we had no
No,
poison drinks, no nothing, no
no,
tonics, no paste, no nothing.
that was a nasty surprise.
Yep.
Okay, but
But hey,
now,
at least now we know.
yeah, okay,
So Styx has different biomes from Olympus. So the map accolades have been changed to atmospheres rather than biomes. So this means that players now correctly attain progress towards biome accolades on Styx. Scorched Traveler in the desert, a Frozen Traveler in the Arctic and stuff.
yeah,
Because on Styx you didn't progress towards getting those accolades because it wasn't desert, it was called something else in the Arctic as well, and like the forest or conifer biome,
yeah,
different biomes. But
yeah,
now they changed it to the atmospheres rather than the biomes, so it's good.
yeah. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Voyager mission, they fixed the den item replenishments. Not sure anymore which mission this was. The
The
Voyager
Voyager
mission.
the Voyager mission is the one where you ended up 100 feet up in the air dead.
So hopefully now next time if that happens and I'm carrying one of the mission items, it will respawn. Hopefully.
Well, we haven't played that mission in a long time
True.
because every time we played it, something went wrong.
But then again, when I ended up high, this was in the time before difficulty settings. This
Yeah,
mission
that's
was
very
only
true.
available in hardcore,
Yeah,
so there was no respawn.
yeah, that's true. And
Uh,
unfortunately, you couldn't be rezzed because you were too high up.
yeah.
Okay, so
Uh,
Strange Harvest has two update pieces here. They've fixed respawn on boss to ensure respawning on prospect reload, and they've also fixed issue preventing objective particles to appear.
so Strange Harvest. Which was that? Did you have to like kill a sandworm and collect the scales or something?
I have no idea. I can't remember.
So I think it's either a sandworm boss or maybe a scorpion. So maybe because they talk about both respawning boss or reload.
Yeah,
Because yes, I've seen in Discord where people were like, "Yeah, I tried to take out the boss, I failed. I decided to go back, prepare better, logged off for the day, logged on the next day, and the boss didn't respawn no more. So that's fixed." And I did see something about someone who was complaining. I did a mission where I had to kill a sandworm to collect skills to make the stuff, and I hardly got any skills.
yes.
Maybe Strange Harvest is the one where you have to kill the sandworm boss. Maybe someone in chat knows.
Yeah, possibly. Um, I
The
can't
next one
remember
I
though.
see about in Discord, they've been testing this. The Holdfast outpost had a particular spot. If you ran through that spot, your character got stuck on a perpetual preparing geometry. This was reproducible. Multiple people have tested this, and they all got the same issue. And one of the devs actually was in there and said, "Hey, can this be reproduced?" So someone said, "Yeah, I tried it as well. Same here." And they were talking about, okay, we now know what the problem is, and it will be fixed in the next update. So it is being fixed now.
Good. Good.
The getting stuck on preparing geometry when crossing into the B4 tile, and they fix it by adding the missing level bounds actors, which now guarantee the correct levels are loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying if in your outpost you basically can't play with that player no more because it's stuck in a perpetual preparing geometry loop.
Yeah, that's not good.
I'm glad I fixed it.
Yep. Yeah. Fixed weather timeline user interface not updating correctly when mounted. Can't say as I've took notice of that, to
Haven't
be
noticed
honest.
this. But then again, I haven't played much since the mounts came out because of my vacation. So yeah.
Yeah. Fixed bug where talent tree view could break when trying to assign talent points while mounted. I'm glad they fixed that.
Again, yeah. I haven't played much with mounts since mounts came out. So I
No.
hadn't noticed this yet. Plus, all my characters have all their talent points assigned already anyway.
Yeah. So they fixed a bug where mounts and juveniles still wouldn't attempt to move to beds or water troughs if they were off the nav mesh. Well, I'm glad they fixed that.
Yeah, like that. They said something similar last week already.
Yeah.
Apparently, it wasn't proper fixed yet, and they work more on fixing this. Good.
Yeah. Uh, Juvenile taming tooltip now switches temp requirement icon based on current environmental temperature. Fixed taming temperature virtual stat using the wrong base stats.
No, I actually only attempted taming juveniles in forest biome, so
Yeah.
I haven't I haven't had much issues with temperature whilst taming juveniles.
No, no. And the next one is just a repeat of the bug that we mentioned a couple above it. So we'll move straight on to hand feeding amount will now apply a moderate amount of health regen with the duration changing based on food's nutrition. Mounts can now be affected by warm and cozy buff.
Yeah, feeding them will apply a health regen bonus or a health regen slide. Froggy, the same as in Arc, where you can force feed your tames to let them regen health.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll make the pen on the we'll be making the pen on the annex side of whatever it is we're
Yeah.
setting up.
Yeah, or put a campfire in or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Add.
So, adding in all base AI setup for the Rock Dog, including all animation montages and placeholder stat values. Still need lava state hookup and lava based attacks to be completed. Not sure why this is in the list of fixes though, because we don't have the Rock Dog yet. I would have expected this one in the future content, but it is interesting, this one.
It is, isn't
Because
it?
apparently we're gonna have a Rock Dog, which is gonna do some lava based attacks.
Hmm. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, a dog spitting lava.
Hmm.
I'll claim those and put them as guards at the base.
Yeah. Froggy
But make
says
sure you have removed all foliage before, otherwise you'll set your base on fire.
yes. Yes, absolutely. Froggy says we've got a mod now for Dino Healing Potion, no more force feed. Good. And Jason says the Rock Dog is the ad for the Wolf Boss.
So Rock Dog is Wolf Boss. Wolf Boss doesn't do anything with lava. Lava isn't in either Olympus or Styx. I expect it to be in Prometheus, the new DLC.
He says
But
he just did kill list. Jason says he just did kill list. Okay.
so
Okay. Fixed nurturing presence aura not affecting juvenile taming speed. Fixed NPCs not being able to receive aura modifiers.
so this has to do with the new husbandry talents.
Yep, sounds like. Fixing inherited collision on the wood gate that was stopping arrows. It is a door-based BP which has the
Blueprint.
collision there to stop multiple doors being placed on top of each other.
So you couldn't place multiple doors in one wood gate, but it also prevented arrows from passing through.
That's weird. Yeah.
Uh,
Jason says he spawns Rock Dog.
Okay. Still
Okay.
not sure about the whole lava state hookup and the lava-based attacks for the Rock Dog, though.
Yeah. Definitely needing a concrete base for that. Okay.
Anyway,
Let's move on.
fix a bug where the cave modifier and the visual effects wouldn't apply correctly when entering a cave while mounted. So now when you go into a cave while on your mount, you will actually get the cave debuff. Good.
Okay. Fair enough.
They fix a bug where juveniles and mounts would stop short of their bed or trough when interacting with it. Juveniles and mounts should hang back a little more when following the player owner. And they fix a bug where taming speed stat wasn't affecting the overall taming duration expected. Again, husbandry 3.
Yeah.
They rework the internal stats driving the taming speed and duration.
Okie dokie.
Juveniles should hang back a little more when following player owner. Don't hang too far back, otherwise you'll get stuck in every bush on the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason says they will most likely add the wolf boss to their new map. Okie dokie. Could you take us through the next four or so whilst I take a quick bio break?
Sure. So they extended the level streaming distance on the whole fast outpost to solve the preparing geometry screen appearing when crossing into the B4 tile. Well, kind of the same bug as a couple of bullet points above. They added missing level bounds, and they extended the level streaming distance. Okay. This one is something I've been talking about before, last week mainly. They increased the Buffalo Mount carry weight limit to 300 kilos. No longer 100 kilos, the same as the MOA, but now it can carry 300. It's a nice start. The pack harness adds an additional 300 kilo carry weight capacity. So, if they with their base saddle now can carry 300, and with the pack harness they can carry 600, then the buffaloes are definitely going to be a very interesting mount again when mining. Because 20 inventory slots but only 100 kilo carry capacity, and it becoming very slow to the point it's hardly moving anymore when it over encumbered too much, yeah, it meant the buffalo basically was worthless. However, if they increased the base carry capacity to 300 and added an additional 300 with the pack harness, I'm definitely gonna tame me some buffaloes again. Some more work on fixing issues with the husbandry tree. They fixed juveniles not being ignored by hostile creatures when using the One with Nature talent. Apparently it didn't work proper. They noticed this on the experimental branch and fixed it. Good. They also implemented some audio cues when the player manually feeds or waters mounts. Audio references still to be added though. Okay, sure, thank you. And the next one as well, adding sounds and events for mounts being manually fed and watered. Basically the same one. So now if you manually feed or water the mount, sorry. So now if you manually feed or water the mount, you'll actually hear it eat and drink. Good. So they fix a bug where the player would consume the held food item when hand feeding mounts. So you ate it yourself instead of the mount. Glad they fixed that. The mounts and juveniles will now also reset the spoil timers on stacks of food left over after feeding from troughs. This is actually something I've noticed at my outpost. So you have a stack of berries there. Obviously, there's a spoil timer. If a mount ate some of the berries, the spoil timer did not reset like when you eat it yourself from your inventory. I'm glad I fixed that because it means you don't have to put that much food in no more. Because if the mount eats it before the spoil time reaches 0, it resets now, and the next item in the stack starts a spoil timer from max value again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna quickly jump back to the chat. Jason says, "Oh, that's a nice weight bonus for the buffalo,"
Oh.
and then says that they sound more interesting.
Yeah, like I said, 300 base, 300 kilos base carry capacity, and an additional 300 with the harness. So if they can carry 600 kilos with those 20 slots, they definitely become more interesting to tame again.
Yeah, they become worth it suddenly again.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what you expect from a buffalo mount. You expect it to be able to carry an awful lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. The fixed bug where the player wouldn't have their internal is-mounted stat removed when dismounting from saddle. Oh, I'm glad they fixed that.
Yeah, yeah. That I reckon that could be quite uh I don't know, perturbing if you can't get rid of the mounted stat so that it won't change the game for you. Wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
And Jason says he has to run. Thanks for the stream. Well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate the fact that you were here to begin with. And whatever it is you have to go and do, be safe and see you next time. Thanks very much. Okay, so we have Strange Harvest again. They significantly increased tether distance on boss to prevent unintentional resetting.
So you can walk around in a bit of a larger area now, trying to avoid the
Yeah,
attacks of the boss.
that would make sense considering that you really couldn't go travel very far from him the first time.
Yeah.
Um, so it made it really difficult to get away from stuff that he was spitting at you. Okay. Moving on, they fixed a bug where the feed's give water tooltip would show when looking at a mount with an invalid held item.
So you have a piece of wood in your hand, and you look at your mount, and it still says you can feed it or give it water. Okay, I'm glad I fixed it. Makes it all less confusing.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
Adding the feed mount sounds to the blueprint and correcting the buffalo mouth socket in data table. All kind of ties to the bullet points, a couple bullet points above, where they added the sounds for hand feeding and hand watering.
yeah. Um,
Ah, mounts and juveniles will now also receive a health regeneration boost after eating from food troughs, similar to hand feeding.
that
Good.
sounds good. Yeah.
Ah,
Fix a typo in enzyme geyser description. Harvest to harvest. Okay,
good.
that's good. We like when proofreading works.
Yeah,
Added footstep particles to mounts.
makes it more realistic.
Well, yeah, it would. Improved modifier stacking behavior. Longest modifier durations will now always take priority. Taming speed aura modifier is no longer visible to players.
It makes sense that the longest modifier duration will take priority.
Yeah,
So I'm glad to fix that.
yeah. Fixed bugs where mounts would start drowning if they stood in water for too long.
I haven't had any mounts drowning, but then again, I usually don't throw them in the water and say stay there. So
Yeah, well, you wouldn't expect them to want to stay underwater, so there you go. Alrighty, so now we're on to future content. Um, I'm
yeah, not
thinking we
there
can
is
just
this.
pick
Hmm?
out bits that are interesting.
Well, there's a new foliage type called Toy Toy.
Okay. Not
And
seeing where that's
more
written,
about
but
the some more about the sledgehammer in the node for the sledgehammer to be broken by sledgehammer. I have to say.
yeah. Um,
Adding text queries for the sledgehammer harvesting currently set up so the node can only take damage from sledgehammer hits, so it's definitely some kind of new node for which you do need a sledgehammer to actually harvest it.
well, yeah, that sounds good. Um,
It looks like some kind of stone, because the bullet point below says they added the sledgehammer breakable node class functionality with an example setup called blueprint breakable rock example.
hmm. Okay. Okay.
Mm.
Um, they've
About ice borers.
yeah, they've tweaked some stuff on the ice border. Um,
There's a new flower called buttercups. Let's
yeah,
see.
fixed up need.
Any.
There's the needler asset mention, adding
Yeah,
carcass map variation. for the needler.
It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to look like. I still do think it is the dog-like thingy in the video on Rocketworks website.
Yeah, that does kind of suggest that. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Prototyped stalactite stalagmite placement solution. So
They put it correctly this
yeah,
time.
they actually spelt it right this
Yeah,
week. I do remember that from last week, kind of picking them up on that. But that's just my
exactly.
OCD kicking in. Um, so yeah, I'm glad they sorted that out.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, they added inverted versions of the selected stalagmite stalactites to create the stalactites. Added foliage groups for these to allow them to be painted in the level. Tweaked material on the rock cave stalagmite 05 to match the others. Well, if it works, use it.
Yep.
Um,
Uh,
oh,
Here's from the
here's an interesting one. Adding S bird flinch and death sounds and events. S bird.
yet a new type of bird.
We've already was it R bird
Our bird, yes.
where we
The
kind
S
of
bird.
got thinking then that
They also added agro vocals for the S bird. The
yeah,
S bird nip audio is mentioned a couple of times.
okie dokie. Here we go. Updated brick tier floor. So
Yep.
there's another mention of the brick that we're going to get.
Exactly. New building type.
Yeah.
Building material type. Submitting first pass fortification implementation includes wall, spikes, walkway, and stairs, and all base data table setups, as well as relevant blueprints. The system uses our existing deployable socket and snapping features, so it doesn't require a building grid. Fortification? Wall, spikes, walkway, stairs.
Wow.
It does give me some ideas to test out for a build, though. And like make a stone fortress with towers and walls and a walkway inside the wall by using some half floor pieces
Yeah.
as a walkway.
Yeah. Yeah. Could do.
Hmm.
That sounds interesting.
And also,
Um.
one that caught my attention, the second from the bottom, setting up a deployable to call down an exotic extraction ship for delivering exotics while on a prospect. This is in preparation of the data decentralization game flow. So you have mined your exotics, you call down an exotic extraction ship, you drop the exotics in it, and it already takes off to the space station for you. So if later on in the mission something goes horribly wrong and you have to use the remove from prospect, at least you still have those exotics.
Yes. Especially if you're only one player, because really one player is restricted by how much they can carry.
Yeah,
So
you can make multiple trips, but the
yeah, but
talk
you
about
don't.
removing prospect, I did some more digging into it. If you use that option, you will keep all your equipment, your space stuff. You do not lose it.
Good.
Basically, what it does is it removes the active link between your player and the equipment and the mission.
Yeah.
So when Carl lost his larval bow on the planet, he could have done a remove from prospect, and he would have kept his larval bow.
Yeah.
Uh, he would have lost the mission progress, obviously,
Yeah.
but if you do the remove from prospect after the mission has completed, you still do get the mission rewards.
Well, that's good at least.
Yep.
He was saying last Friday that he was confirming that he has lost all of his Larkwell bows. It's not just taken the one, it's removed all of
Yeah,
the ones that he had from his inventory.
I told him to contact Rocketworks.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do so, well, then it's on him. Because if he would contact them with the proper information, Steam ID, player name, and a quick account of what happened, like hey, I lost my larval bows from my station inventory, they would reimburse him. If he
Yeah.
doesn't do it, it's on him.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But
I think
you,
I think he'd pretty much just decided he was gonna, just get a new one.
yeah,
He was actually running around last Friday with the top tier crossbow because he thought he'd try that out for size.
yeah. Well, it's a larval bow, so it's not that much exotics.
No, well, not to craft. It's expensive to research, but it's not really that expensive to craft. I don't think after that.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah,
Not as expensive as the Icarus pickaxe or the Ventura knife.
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Um, And that actually brings us to the end of this week's update. There we go. That's it. We're done. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
S- Um,
So I'm not there for gameplay. Carl's not there for gameplay.
and I'm
So
not well enough for gameplay, so um, I am going to be finishing this stream. And for this week, um, recovering from COVID and Corne being on holiday and Carl being on holiday. Then there's not going to be gameplay after this update. We hope to rectify that next week, though. When are you back from holiday?
I'm flying back Tuesday.
Okie dokie. Rightio. Um, Froggy says, "I hope you feel better soon." Echo, thank you very much. It's not been a great week. Um, I've been sick as a dog. But I am getting there. Unfortunately, as an asthmatic, it's just exacerbated my symptoms. So although I'm testing negative now, I'm not symptom free. So it just makes it harder to get over. So what? So apologies. There's not going to be a stream after this one. For this week, we are not going to have gameplay. Um, there's just not the manpower to do it. I'm afraid tonight. Um, So we will pick up the gameplay again next week. So I'd like to say thanks very much to Gao for being here.
Of course.
It's been a pleasure. But for right now, I think we're done. So I'm going to say it's good night from me.
And good night from her.
And remember, peeps, it's a dangerous world out there. Take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.